That's all I have to say. Friendships were so good. Something that you want to read. I just really enjoyed at the very beginning. Would enjoy it. Hello everyone, it's Lauren. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. For today's video, I wanted to do something special to kind of wrap up at the end of the year. I want to talk about all of the books that I've read throughout 2024. This is going to be kind of a realistic version. I go to college. I also have a job. I don't get a lot of time to read, so I like to be really selective about the books that I choose to read because I have limited time. So I really hope you guys enjoy seeing everything that I read in 2024 so far. We're gonna start out with a book that I'm still currently reading. Yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through the books in order of the ones I've read most recently to the ones that I've read further down to the beginning of the year because I don't remember those ones as well. So one book that I'm currently reading right now is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. This book has been so popular all over booktok, YouTube, Instagram, everywhere. I've been seeing this book. This is a fantasy book following Violet Swarringale. She is in a fantasy world with dragons. Basically, whenever everyone hits, I think 20 years old, they have to choose between these 4 quadrants to go to in the college. One of the quadrants is the writer's quadrant, in which they're writing dragons. Another one is the scribe quadrant, which is basically the one that Violet wanted to go into. However, her mother, who is the sergeant, kind of like captain of some of the dragon writers, is basically forcing Violet into the writer's quadrant. So it basically follows Violet as she's completing these trials and tribulations as she's going through the writer's quadrant. It just follows her with different friends and relationships trying to navigate this new world that she's been thrown into. She's kind of like known for being a bit weaker. She's kind of a smaller build, so she struggles a bit with that as she's completing these challenges, and it just follows her and her perseverance and overcoming obstacles that are thrown her way. I just really enjoy her as a main character in this story. It's really interesting seeing how she's working around different challenges to overcome things. There's also a little bit of a romance subplot in this story, which I think is really interesting. But I will say, I really like that the build up to it takes a long way into the book. I'm currently this far in the book and it's still like building up. So I do really appreciate that a lot, that it's not just like thrown in your face. Like there's elements of the story that aren't that, you know what I mean? So I'm really enjoying this book so far. I don't want to rate it yet just because I'm not finished with it. But so far it's really kept me intrigued. And I will say it's free to listen to on Spotify if you have Spotify Premium for the audiobook, and that's what I've been doing for a lot of it, and I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, what else have we got here? Oh, of course. So I've also kind of been working my way through the Throne of Glass series. These are out of order. Oh, here we are. These are the ones that I've read so far. Well, actually, let's start from the beginning. So I read Assassin's Blade first. This is a novella in the series, but I definitely recommend to read this one first because it is a prequel. Like chronologically in the series, it makes sense to read this one first. This happens before anything else on the rest of the series. I know a lot of people say that you should read Throne of Glass first. Please don't do that unless you want to be spoiled for what happens in this one, because wow, the plot twist in this one hit. Okay, I'm pretty sure I gave this a 5 stars for a novella. That's crazy. Actually, let me make sure I gave this 5 stars. Yeah, I gave this a literal 5 star. Like this book, I was intrigued throughout the whole thing. There's multiple novellas kind of in this. It's a series of multiple books that are all kind of fit into one. This series follows Selena Sardathian. She's an assassin and one of the city's greatest feared people to live among the city. She's hired by people to basically assassinate. Yeah, she's a villain. But the way this series makes you feel for the villain is extremely interesting to me. Obviously, she's the main character, so you're gonna be on her side. She's definitely morally gray, but you'll feel yourself supporting her in whatever she needs. I've grown so attached to her throughout the series. This is the next one I read, Throne of Glass. Technically, this is the first book in the series that Sarah J. Maas wrote, so I don't think I gave this one as high of a rating. I think she wrote this book when she was literally 16, so you can't really expect a lot of high quality from this one. You just kind of have to push through it in order to get to the rest of the series. This one, I think I gave a 3 star. Interesting, just not as high quality storytelling, I wouldn't say, as the rest of the books that I've read in the series so far. And honestly, I went into the series with 0 expectations. I think this one definitely intrigued me more because she wrote this one later in her life. So if you want to get hooked on the series anyway, I would recommend to read this one first. Just get through this one and the rest of the series should be good. I read Crown of Midnight recently. This is the 3rd book I read in the series. I also gave this one a 5 stars. Very good. The plot twist in this one I was not not expecting. You can definitely see the story progressing. I obviously don't want to spoil anything too much. It's kind of harder to talk about books as you get further into the series, but this one, I really recommend this one once you get to it in the series. Seeing her relationship with different characters in the story, the friendships, the relationships, how she fears certain people, you learn to figure out why and what causes that. A little bit of her backstory is slowly revealed throughout the story, and I think that's really interesting, just to kind of like leave it to the reader to figure out and not to just give it away from the very beginning. I think was great of Sarah J Maas to do in this series. You're just left kind of trying to figure it out like a puzzle, kind of in the same way that they are in the story. It's multiple point of view too, so you get Selena's point of view and then some of the other main characters' point of view, which I think really helps. I've also just barely started Heir of Fire. I was reading this one and then I started the reading challenge with Fourth Wing, and so now I'm a little bit sidetracked from this one currently, but I'm gonna bring it with me home for Christmas break and I'm hopefully gonna get through it. And then after that, I'm really excited because I've got Queen of Shadows, but obviously I haven't read this one yet until I read Heir of Fire. Let's see what else we've got. Okay, this book, oh my gosh, I literally read this just so I could see what everyone was talking about with it. I think I'm too old for this book. I don't even know. I read this book simply for the joke, okay? I know a lot of people read this one way back in the day, and I think it didn't hit the same way because I'm older. I understand toxicity and I understand that that's not okay. This book was originally published on Wattpad. I think it followed Harry Styles, literally. And this is kind of like, Harry Styles was the main character originally, but obviously with the published version, it's now a guy named Arden. Basically, Tessa is the main character in the story. She's the female main character, and then she goes off to college. She has pretty much the perfect life. She's a bookworm, smart, she knows what she wants. She goes to college, hoping to get a degree to work in the publishing industry. When she meets Hardin, who's like typical bad boy material, he's in a frat, just the college boy you kind of want to avoid if you're seeking a degree like Tessa. She's really focused on her path. He basically distracts her. He's really toxic and their relationship is opposite of what you want. I think this book is strictly just for entertainment purposes. I will say it was very entertaining, just not what you want for your own life, okay? I gave this book a 2.75 stars. I also recently read Funny You Should Ask by Alyssa Sussman. This book I read for a book video coming up. I'm actually not sure if I've already put that one out or if I put this one out first. I don't know. It might be on my channel. This book, pretty much another one just for entertainment purposes in my opinion. Pretty predictable, I will say. But this follows Connie Horowitz. She is, what is she called? Her career? She's a writer, but she interviews like movie stars, celebrities, that kind of thing, and then publishes articles about them online, if that makes sense. So she's in charge of writing a profile for the other character in the story, Gabe Parker. He's going to be playing the James Bond in this book. This book follows a then and now timeline following her original interview with Gabe then back in the day, and then her now. We pretty much know that she interviewed Gabe. She was kind of struggling with her career before she interviewed him. She then interviewed him, published an interesting story apparently, and then gained a lot of popularity from that. And then, so that was in the past, and now we're following her present, in which she's assigned to re-interview him. This book reminds me a lot of Taylor Jenkins Reid's books in a way, just like the celebrity movie star-esque vibe, and then every now and then in the story you get thrown in these little news articles. Instead of like a chapter, it'll be a news article. I feel like I've definitely read that in Taylor Jenkins Reid. Maybe I've read it in, what's that book called? Yeah, this. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This reminds me a lot of this in a way, but I will say I kind of respect this book a lot more just because Connie in this story, I don't know if she's supposed to be quirky, but to me she's kind of a little bit annoying, I will not lie. She's overly obsessed with Gabe. It's kind of a little bit cringe at times, some of the stuff that is said between them. I don't know. It was, I don't know. What did I end up giving this? A 2.5, I think? Yeah. For entertainment, yes. For a believable love story, no. I just found that she was a little bit obsessed with him. He was obsessed with himself, and I don't know. I also read The Hating Game this year, written by Sally Thorne. This kind of follows like an office romance situation. Lucy Hutton and Joshua Templeman are the main characters in this book, and basically they are known for absolutely hating each other at work. They're both going for the same promotion position in their workplace, which makes it really hard for them to deal with each other. Already they have a lot of drama between each other at the workplace. They're always teasing and picking on each other. A lot of banter is in this book. This book is literally banter in a book. They're kind of like passive aggressive with each other. They sit across from each other in the office and they're the only two in that room, so it's basically just following them going back and forth, nagging each other all day. In the beginning I was like, okay, we get it. They annoy each other. Kind of it was just like dragging on and on about them just picking back and forth. And then suddenly it seemed that they all of a sudden had feelings for each other. I have to have build up, okay? I have to have build up. I don't know. It was good. It was funny. It was interesting. Just a quick little read. This book was fairly short too. I gave this one a cool 3 stars. I don't know that I really appreciated the office workspace atmosphere in the story. I believe there's a wedding in this book too, which I like. I always like a wedding in a story, I don't know. But the office setting, just, I don't get how you can be professional and be romantically involved in the workplace. I don't know. I also decided to pick up a classic this year, so I decided to pick up The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. This book was written a long time ago. I don't know that I fully appreciated it for what it was, just because I do struggle to read classics, I've come to realize. I don't know. I just need my quick little romantic fantasy whatever entertainment, and I try to appreciate it for what it was, okay? This book follows pretty much America in the 1920s, characters in New York during this time period. It follows these really rich people. I'm not the classic expert, okay, so don't hold that against me if you are. I don't know. Just some of the wording was really hard for me to follow, but I tried, okay? And what did I end up giving this? I ended up giving this a 4-star, just trying to appreciate it for what it was. Next, I read Happy Place by Emily Henry. This book was so sweet and so cute. Harriet and Wynne in the story, the two main characters, they have been in a relationship since college, and they have recently broken up. However, their friend group in college has kind of a yearly tradition that they do each year where they meet at a beach house and kind of catch up with everybody each year. However, in this story, they broke up a while ago and haven't told their friends yet. I don't really know why they decided not to tell them, actually. Like, how could you not just tell your friends as soon as that happens? I don't know. But basically, this is the last year that they're gonna meet at this beach house, and so I guess they're just trying to not break their friends' hearts, make it awkward, I guess, for the last time that they're all gonna gather together at this place. They have to kind of put on this facade, pretend to still be together, which has a little bit of banner in of itself. I don't know how your friends can't really see through that. That part was a little bit unbelievable. But yeah, what I really appreciated about this book was the friendships. Oh my goodness, the friendships were so good. Just the found family, the story of how they all became friends was included in this book, and I think that part was just interesting to read about. The way different characters are, obviously not everyone's gonna act the exact same way. People have their different personalities, and just how they all fit together was really interesting. I love reading about a good friend group, so I love that aspect of this story. Also, just the way that Emily Henry writes, it's so beautiful. Just the words she chooses to use sounds so magical. Oh my goodness, I just love her writing style so much. Then I read Severance by Ling Ma. This book I picked up in Barnes & Noble because I don't know, I kept seeing it in there and it looked interesting. It looked like a pretty coffee table book, so I picked up the back and saw that it is an end of the world book. If you know me, I love those end of the world movies. 2012, San Andreas, I love those style movies, and so I kind of thought that this book was going to be a little bit of that. However, this book kind of follows like an apocalypse. Everybody kind of catches this disease that's going on. Gives me plague and you know what, 2020 vibes in a way, but also to the extreme because everyone kind of turns into these zombies. Pretty much the main character in this book is obsessed with her job. She works in New York City. All of this is going down and she doesn't even want to leave her work. Her work is her life and she kind of doesn't know what to do with herself without it. But sure enough, the end of the world comes with this new plague that's coming along. She's forced to leave and she joins this band of people who are kind of trying to survive throughout the end of this. It follows their story together, flipping back and forth between her in the past and then her with this new group of people. Very interesting. The more that I think about it, I don't know. The way it was written was kind of a little bit dry at times to me. It dragged a little bit at times. You think about the concept and it sounds interesting, but whenever, at least for me, whenever I was reading it, I found that I wasn't really intrigued. I wasn't really wanting to pick it up. So I did give this book a 2 stars. However, I do think that people would enjoy it. The right reader would enjoy it. Then I read Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. Oh my god. gosh, this book was so cute. This is a YA romance following Liz Buxbaum and Wes Bennett. Pretty much Liz has this absolute crush on this guy at school. His name is Michael, I think. He just moved back into town, and to Liz's absolute dismay, he starts hitting it off with Wes as friends. Wes and Liz are neighbors, down the street kind of moment there. Boy next door. Pretty much they have this rivalry between them. They can't stand each other. They have it between them that each of them needs this parking spot on their road, and they kind of refuse to let the other person have this spot. It's just been a rivalry between them for years. Liz pretty much spends all of her time focusing on Michael, how much she likes him, how much she wants to be with him, when in reality, maybe it's someone else she should be with instead. This book was just so sweet. I really liked it for a YA romance. I thought it really did keep me interested. Normally I'm kind of not a YA person, but this one I had to read because everyone was talking about it, and I do say I quite enjoyed it, and I gave it a solid 4 stars, so there you go. Then I read Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. Oh my gosh, this book I love so much. Our main character decides that she wants to move to the countryside after some family trauma happens. She wants to get out of town, seclude herself in kind of a small town. Yes, this is a small town romance. Love one of those, if you know me. She meets Archer, who can't speak. He can hear, he just can't speak. Pretty much Archer has been traumatized since she was a child. Really traumatizing things happened in his childhood that we learn more about. Everyone in the town thinks he's this weird guy they need to avoid. No one pretty much gives him even a chance, the light of day. No one likes to talk to him because obviously they don't know. They just see him as someone who doesn't like to talk to anybody, kind of a recluse, and they didn't even give him the chance. Where our main character, what is her name? It doesn't say on this and I forgot. Do we even know? Oh, her name's Bree. Okay. Bree comes along, gives Archer the chance, finds out that, oh, actually he's a really sweet guy. Everyone's just been avoiding him and thinking he's weird when that's not actually the case. This follows him as he's kind of getting back out into life, learning to be appreciated. Follows a lot of bravery, both on Bree's part and on Archer's part. Bree traveling to a new place, meeting new people, setting herself up, and then as she meets Archer, kind of encouraging him to do the same. Get back out there and find out who he really is. He's not just someone who can't speak, he's more than that. And oh my gosh, their love story, bro, was so good. It was so good. Just read it. That's all I have to say. I gave it a 5 star. This book I read right in the beginning of the year because I had read the rest of the series and I hadn't gotten to this one last year, so I of course had to pick it up this year. This is A Court of Silver Flames in the Court of Thorns and Roses series. Look at the size of this thing. Are y'all seeing that? Like, that is a chunker right there. I literally read all of it too this year. How many pages is this? 751 pages are in this book. Okay, this follows the sister, one of the sisters of the main character throughout the rest of the series, and just kind of her own personal trials and tribulations. She goes through a lot of emotional trauma that is kind of like looked over in the other books. Like, we know that she's scarred, but we don't really know to what extent and why and how it affects her, because obviously trauma is going to affect everyone differently. This story is so impactful, I think, just from a character standpoint. If you like character-based stories, you would love this book in the series particularly. She's kind of known for having a temper in a way, and a lot of the characters don't really understand why, but it really is rooted in this trauma that she has, and this book just kind of follows her overcoming it, working really hard to get back to who she truly deserves to be for herself and for others in her life. There's also a romance plot in this book, which I think in a way was a little bit too much. I don't know. Sometimes I just prefer the book to be about like a character and their own personal development, and the romance kind of, it was a little bit much at times, let me just say. I don't know, but just the healing and acceptance point in this book I think was really beautiful. So at the very beginning of this year, this book, I want to say this book came out at the beginning of this year sometime. I read this pretty soon after it came out, but I read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. This is the author that wrote the Hunger Games series. Oh my gosh, this book was so good. Let me just tell you, this book was so good. I don't know if y'all saw the movie. The movie was really good too, but honestly, the book was even better than the movie, okay? This book follows Cornelius Snow, who is the kind of like elderly president of the country in the Hunger Games series, but this follows him as he is a teenager. He's young, he's going through life himself at this point. This is way before anything that even happens in the Hunger Games series. Those characters aren't even born yet. This story kind of follows his life in the capital of Panem. He's a student in one of the colleges in the city, and it follows him. Pretty much all of the students in the college are required to be a mentor for each one of the participants that get chosen for the Hunger Games. So he gets assigned Lucy Gray. She's the female tribute from District 12, and we learn that she reminds him later on in his life of Katniss Everdeen in the original series. Pretty much this book follows his character in a way. Once again, a character-based story. I love those. He's definitely morally gray in this book, and we follow kind of his decline. Obviously, this may be a little bit of a spoiler for the other series. If you haven't read the original Hunger Games, maybe skip this part, but obviously we know President Snow isn't the nicest character in the original Hunger Games series, and so this book right here follows how he gets there, his decline, and how the Capitol kind of corrupts him into this person that... I don't even know. This person that just works for the mission of the Capitol. You can really see in this book exactly what he's thinking, how he's feeling, what he's saying. That kind of turns him into this character that's just so unlikable towards the end. You're like, wow. But in a way, you can see exactly what caused him to get there. And I just think it was so interesting and beautifully written on Suzanne Collins' part. Just very thought-provoking on the decline of humanity in a way. Anyway, y'all, that is gonna be all of the books that I read in 2024. I really hope that you enjoyed seeing everything that I've read. Let's see how many books I read exactly. I've been like putting these back. I don't need to do that. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 13, 14, 15, 16 books in 2024. Not a lot, but like I said, kind of a realistic standard for someone that also has other things going on in life. So yeah, I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Seeing all the books that I've read this year, I hope you got something out of it. Maybe found something that you want to read. There's a few more books over here, but I seriously don't think I can hold all of them. Yeah, there's like literally 5 more over there, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Definitely subscribe if you want to see more content from me, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.